He's on the road. Hi,
Oh, okay.
Mike. Well,
Hi, Mike.
Tim may be listening. He's driving, but he said he might be listening on the road.
Hello, everybody. Mike?
Hello.
You're everybody.
He's head.
Yes.
Jeff, Tim's headed 20 miles south of Mount Diablo, which is the Bay Area's tallest peak.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I know Mount Diablo. Near Walnut Creek, I think. What was
He's
I gonna
out
do?
and about.
Oh, yeah.
He's out and about.
I'm assuming the devil lives on Mount Diablo.
I believe so. I believe that's what that is in
Well,
Spanish.
it's
Is that
Northern California,
appropriate
so
for you to know that?
most of the
place?
people that are there, I think you'd put in that category. No, I'm just kidding. I love you all.
I guess Mount Diablo is next to Los Angeles, the city of angels, and then there's the mountain of the devil. So, the kind of
Well,
mountains
actually, one's in Southern
I
California, one's
know.
in Northern. Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Okay. Well, I didn't know you knew the geography.
Well, I know it's the Bay Area's north, and I know Los Angeles is
Oh,
south.
okay.
So.
Okay.
I have been there
okay.
back in the day, long time ago.
Users. Okay, I'm going to uncheck
long time
AJ,
ago.
and I'm going to check
I can
RJ.
still remember how
And then
the
I'm going to hit
music
submit.
used to make me
And now,
smile.
RJ, you should be able to hopefully sign into Unity.
All right.
And then once you have, then we'll do a check because we
do a
have not
test,
done
yeah.
that yet.
Invalid username or password. I don't
Oh,
know what-
really?
Yeah. I put
Okay.
my username as RJ.
Well, hang on. Let me see what I have for you.
Yeah.
Mike's used to this kind of riveting
Yeah.
activity
This
is,
before
technical.
the show. So, yeah,
This
The old
is,
sausage.
yeah, this is, this is very important stuff.
making the donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have...
I'm on now.
Excellent.
Yes, perfect.
Good. Yeah, RJ should work.
All right.
Okay.
So let's do a test.
Okay, I'm going to mute StreamYard and check out Unity. Although I think I need to...
That's so easy now, Jeff. I just press the on-air button on my Stream Deck and chat away, and it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You boys had a little get together and fixed your issues there.
Well, I
We
just
did.
acquired, Jeff showed me how to set up this new mute thing.
Mic drop.
Exactly.
Not you,
on the
Mike
Stream
Kuipers.
Deck, and
Not you, Mike Kuipers. It's a mic.
Yeah, we're not going to drop you.
No.
so now I can shut myself up at the press of a button.
And we love that feature, Nick.
Yes, I know you do.
We encourage Jeff to show you that. Actually, I think it should be on. I think we should all have it, shouldn't we? That we can
Well, see,
shut
I
up.
was telling Nick that, I have it installed as well. However, when I usually want to mute myself, I'm playing like video or audio and from another source.
So you
and
can't
if I
do
use that setup, it just mutes everything. And
Yeah.
so that doesn't work for
It's
me.
not selective. It's not selective.
Nope. But I have another way to do that. I have this little hardwired mic.
That
Talking
works.
right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew you'd
I've
have
got a
another way.
collection of foot
Yeah.
buttons that I used, and none of them really worked. The best one, I thought, this is fantastic because it's the ideal size, and it just plug it in and it works. But it didn't mute 100%. You could still hear
there was
faintly
a bleed
noise
through.
coming through it. I was so
I
frustrated.
bet I know why they
thought,
do that. They probably, so you don't hear the like the mechanical noise of the latching and unlatching or something.
Oh yeah, could
I don't know.
be.
I know what you're talking about. I've had some of those too, and you go like, well, I want it completely gone, completely muted,
Exactly.
not mostly. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
dumb.
We don't want semi-muting. We want total.
Full muting, yes, like the full
That
Monty.
is- Oh, that
Sorry.
vinegar. Whew.
It's good for you though.
It is cider vinegar. Very good. For
Yeah, well, it makes my eyes water.
Wow, what quantity of liquid do you have in that jar?
Who, me? Oh, this
Yeah.
is a 64, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, 3
wow,
cups.
Is that stuff from the the hillbillies.
Moonshine.
Is that
Yeah, this is
moonshine?
it's
Moonshine.
straight moonshine. But if anyone asks, it's water.
When Nick was at Steph's last year,
Oh yeah, I've got it.
she gave him this. Yeah, he'll show it to you. He gave her. Steffi gave him something.
In the meantime, let's do quickly check on Roger.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
Sounds good.
WAPG.
Okay.
You see it, RJ?
Ooh, very
It's a
nice.
Mason
some
jar,
fancy
mason
jar.
jar
Mason
wine
Mason
glass.
jar. Yeah, that is
Yep.
classy.
Absolutely brilliant.
That is
Holds
hillbilly
class.
classy. Yeah.
It holds
class.
half a bottle of wine.
That's for high class hooch.
Yeah. It's even got a kind of a graduation on the side there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but so when the nurse asks me how many glasses of wine a week, I can honestly say I
Just
only have
one.
a couple.
Love it. That was a great souvenir for her to give you. That was
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fabulous.
Okay.
Yes, Roger sounded good there, Jeffrey.
Good. Okay, so we got that. And let me just look at the intro page on. And you have access to Evernote still, RJ?
RJ, yes, I do. I have it on my phone. I have to look down, but it'll be
I think
fine.
we
that's
only
fine.
have a couple of videos, Jeff. The first one is not till the third item.
Thank you. And that. Oh, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that because I need to start screen sharing my.
And do you have your recorder on yet?
I do. I've had it on
Okay.
for 34 minutes.
Uh-oh. You've heard all this. You've got all this stuff recorded? Oh, boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me record this other one.
We're
here.
having
Okay.
quite a heat wave, I'm feeling a bit warm here.
Nick, you've got to get one of those units that has the compressor outside and the blower inside your bedroom. They're the best things because you can do just one or two rooms in your house.
Like a
yeah.
Oh,
those
the
things
split-
like the split.
Split unit.
system, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had them in my house because I didn't have ductwork, and it really works.
Yeah, a lot of people are using those
Yeah.
split systems, and even in RVs.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Well, if we continue to get these heat waves, I'll have to invest in something. 'cause,
Mitsubishi is the brand, I believe. That's what I
Yeah.
was told at the time. So.
Well, you have to have a car in your house? How does that work?
Right.
Or an airplane, like an MU2.
Hi, Ralph. There's Ralph in Germany. Hi, Ralph. Isn't it?
Hey,
it's
Ralph.
Labor Day
Ralph.
there. It's Labor Day there. Big holiday.
Yeah. Mayday.
Yeah.
Mayday.
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 Mayday, mayday.
Show title.
Do they have a Pan Day?
Yes, Pancake Day.
Oh yeah, that's right. Shrove Tuesday.
Pan. Does Pan does have something to do with
Bread.
Peter Pan? Pan? No.
No.
Okay. It is some obscure French origin, but
I thought it had some connection with pain, like bread. I don't know why, but let me look it up.
Okay, share screen.
Liz will look it up.
I am.
So, RJ, do you have any hard outs or anything like that? That you have to.
If we're starting now at noon, I think I should be fine. Pretty.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, just if you need to go, just just let us know.
I will. Thank you.
I was wrong. Pan originates from the French word pan, P-A-N-N-E, meaning breakdown or failure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There you go. So now you know about that syrup and that. Who says you don't learn stuff? on
Yeah, that's right.
APG?
I'm sorry. What did we just learn?
Well, whether we remember it or not, that's a different
that's-
story.
I know.
Yeah,
Hey,
I've
that's-
learned
yeah.
so
Hey,
many
when you
things.
get to
I
my
just
age,
can't-
that's a huge challenge.
Can't recall any of it, but there's a lot of knowledge up here somewhere.
Oh yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
It's
The database is just not linked.
Yeah, got a lot of broken wires.
Yeah.
It's the daily
okay.
thing of going into a certain room and going, "What did I come in here for?"
Yeah, I know. It just gets worse
Yeah.
the older you get.
Tell me about it. Okay.
About what? Okay, I think we might. Oh, hang on. Just thought of. Do we have a special intro music for you, RJ, or do I just normally do the Trollolo?
I think you just do the normal one. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, if you ever come across something that you think might be a nice musical interlude, or not interlude, but intro kind of thing, let me know, and we'll set that up for you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Like the one that we do for AJ.
Yeah.
And he regrets that he couldn't join us today.
No worries. Yeah.
That fits your stemmed mason jar.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm gonna have me some
Hooch.
water, some moonshine water.
White lightning.
White lightning. Okay, I think,
Okay.
believe it or not, I think I'm ready to go.
Alrighty.
Let me go here to media assets and go and find the countdown. And so far, so good. Fingers crossed. No noises above me in the apartment above. They were putting in carpet earlier and making a heck of a noise. A heck of a racket. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 661.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the week of April 28th, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, U.S. Navy Super Hornet fighter jet rolls off an aircraft carrier and sinks. And a Dutch flight crew signals a mayday after finding an iPad that didn't belong to anyone on board. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 661 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in New York City. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
retired professional dog photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Great to be back on the show again. Now, 661. There was a Boeing 777 called November 661 Whiskey Tango that started life in Malaysian Airlines in 2001 before retiring in 2016. And after a couple of years, it was ferried to the States and painted in its final garish colours of green, yellow, red and black, the colours of Air Zimbabwe. Now, with huge debts, the airline never took delivery of 661, and it's now been turned into aviation tags cut from the original aircraft skin, giving, quote, aviation enthusiasts a unique piece of history to cherish.
Oh, wow. And you can have your own personal sample of that ugly livery.
That's exactly right.
Captain Nick's getting a
We
kickback
could go
there,
on the
I think.
website and look at them. And they're going, oh, my God.
Gift idea for Captain Nick. I love it. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thank you for that. And also joining us from his home in Huntington Beach, California, beautiful place, current first officer on the Airbus A320 family at a major U.S. carrier, I'd say the best one, and volunteer
Yes.
flight instructor and check pilot with the Civil Air Patrol. It's Ranjit Rajan, and we call him RJ. It's easier that way.
Hi, guys. Hello. I'm very happy to be here. It's been a long time, and happy to join once again.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Can't wait to catch up on what you've been up to.
Oh, yeah. Quite a few things. Busy months.
Good. It was good to be busy. All right. And also, last but not least, from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, it's the lovely Liz Piper.
Hello, everybody, and it's great to have RJ on the show again. Been way too long.
I know. I mean, it took me forever to convince him to come back.
I know. We must have insulted him last time, but
Well,
that's sort of our way.
Not at all.
That's sort of what we do.
that's why it's good to be good at something, and
Yeah.
we're good at that.
I think it was mainly because you didn't insult me enough.
Oh, well,
That's why.
get ready.
Well, we can
Yeah,
always try.
challenge accepted.
Have a good show, you guys.
Thanks, Liz.
Otherwise, that
All
is.
right. Well, without further ado, let's get into some aviation news, since, after all, we are an aviation podcast.
Stand by for news.
All right. Thank you, Paul Harvey. We're going to start off with this in our news segment. It's from Aviation Herald. It's a final report on, it's an incident, I think, a loss of separation incident involving a Ryanair Boeing 737-800 and a Citation jet, Cessna Citation at Ibiza? Did I say that right? Yeah.
Ibiza. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. On August 10th of 2023. So not quite 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. A Ryanair Boeing 737-800, as I just said, Echo India, Echo November Mike, performing flight 9177 from Dublin to Ibiza, Spain, with 170 passengers. I think that deserves that. Yeah. Whether I deserve it or not. I'm the one that controls the bell button. Yeah, was descending towards, they had 170 passengers, 6 crew, descending towards flight level 150 towards that Spanish island, when a loss of separation occurred with a Cessna Citation business jet en route from Madrid to Palma, Mallorca.
Yeah.
Well, there's no de. Well, there's no de in there in my spelling. It just says Palma, Mallorca. Huh. We'll have to blame Simon on that one. The reduced to a minimum 500. Okay, I think the separation, I think there's a missing word. The separation reduced to a minimum of 500 feet vertical and 0.9 nautical miles horizontal, so just under a mile. The Ryanair received a TCAS resolution advisory. After the conflict was resolved, both aircraft continued to their destinations without further incident. On the 24th of April of this year, Spain's CIAIAC released their final report concluding the probable causes of the incident were the investigation has found that the incident was caused because the control surfaces, the air traffic control, I guess, did not take effective and timely action to prevent the in-flight loss of separation between the conflicting aircraft. Following factors are thought to have contributed to the incident. Well, did they or didn't they? It doesn't sound like it's final to me, yeah. The incorrect analysis of the existing scenario in the GXX sector by Air Traffic Control Services when identifying potential conflicts between aircraft and when transferring the Heron aircraft to Sector F1X. Heron was the bizjet, the Citation. The lack of monitoring the descent rate of the Heron aircraft by the Air Traffic Control Services, incorrectly assuming that it would set a descent rate in line with their expectations. A little bit more on that later, I think. The Yeah. Oh, expectation bias for sure. The existing limitations in the software in which Inair has, I don't know what that is, has the STCA implemented. I don't know what that is either, which prevented the people that run the air traffic control services, Inair. Okay. That's what that is. Okay. And prevented the STCA and then something probably like the people that are actually doing the controlling from identifying the potential loss of separation between the aircraft earlier. So let's see. So basically, there was I think the Ryanair was coming in from the north and the business jet was coming in from the west. And there was another aircraft at the time in the same air traffic control sector as the Ryanair. And they were, closely watching their separation. They weren't giving the Ryanair flight a certain altitude until that other aircraft had vacated the altitude, et cetera. They were doing a great job with those two. However, for some reason or another, the business jet got, which was in a different sector, kind of got lost in the shuffle. They didn't really pay attention to that one. And that's the one that actually ended up being the conflict. I don't know really what else to say about this to make it even more interesting, because it's really not to me, actually. But I don't know, maybe let's get some color commentary from Captain Nick. I'm sure he can spice it up a little bit.
Well, I don't know if we're ever going to call the Spanish air traffic controllers the best in the world, but I mean, I never really operated in there, so I'm only going by what other pilots have told me. That sometimes things can be a wee bit chaotic over there. Having said that, there's absolutely no reason why not. I'm sure they're well trained and I'm sure they're very conscientious. But I think they released one of the aircraft either too early or too late. They weren't on in the right sectors, probably and they were on different frequencies. So the pilots didn't get a lot of news. But it just goes to show the value of what is now quite an old system, TCAS. Fantastic. I wonder how many lives have been saved over the decades by TCAS and the training that the pilots go through in order to ensure they follow its commands accurately. So
at least
hats off to TCAS.
Yeah.
Not giving any points to Spanish air traffic control, I'm afraid. And well done to Ryanair for being good boys and following their TCAS appropriately. So, good job.
Yeah.
Ryanair, Spanish air traffic control. All right, that's our assessment. RJ, would you like to add anything else to that? Yeah. Okay. That is our in-depth analysis.
Yeah.
Expert in-depth. Well, Liz, you didn't have to add that awful sound to your comment, which sounded kind of like a compliment.
Listen to the podcast if you want to hear Liz's awful sound.
Yeah, if you want to hear Liz's wonderful commentary, I guess you could call it.
I think that sound should be added to the end of this episode.
Definitely, yeah. Should be the show title. If only I could spell it.
Yeah, I'll just have to. All right, moving along. Let's do another one from the Aviation Herald, Simon's wonderful website. Did we? Let's see. I think, it sounds a little familiar. I don't know, but it seems like every week we have an airplane bursting into fire during pushback. Anyway, this is a final report involving the Aviastar T204. It's a Tupolev Tu-204, registration 64032. They were performing a freight flight. Oh, who cares? Let's don't even cover it. It's a freight flight.
Oh, I thought it was quite interesting the way the auction caught on fire, but...
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, man, you just...
Oh, sorry, did I reveal?
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, they were performing they're trying to perform freight flight 6534 from...
Hangzhou to Novosibirsk.
Hangzhou?
Yes.
RJ, you say it.
Novosibirsk.
Hangzhou to Novosibirsk.
Nova Brisk.
Yeah, that sounds. That's.
I love it.
Wait a minute.
You know, I only need to be 50% correct.
Okay, let's see. They had 8 crew and 20 tons of general cargo and 26 tons of fuel. That's a lot of of crew. You're right, Liz. They were being pushed back for departure when an open fire started in the cabin. Emergency services responded. Upon arrival of emergency services, about 2 minutes after the emergency call, the fire had already broken through the crown of the aircraft. The crew evacuated safely. The aircraft was damaged beyond repair. Yeah, I'll say if it's through the crown of the aircraft.
It's only Russian airplanes that have crowns.
Okay.
You see, British airplanes should have crowns. All of them.
Yeah, they really should.
It should.
Yeah.
I
I don't
think they
think
do,
American airplanes after the revolution deserve any crowns at all.
No.
But,
Well, we don't deserve anything, in your opinion.
Wings
the
that fly.
Swedes can have them.
Let's get away from the geopolitical stuff. It's my rule.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's. Okay. Was it something we said? Liz said she's leaving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see. On April 10th, 2025, the MAK released their final report concluding the probable cause of the accident were, or causes of the accident were. The investigation team believes that the initial fire area was inside the console on the right side of the cockpit, and the origin of the fire was located behind the audio control panel in front of the oxygen shutoff and reducing device, and above the regulator control units. The most probable cause of fire is that the crew oxygen system components inside the right-hand console malfunctioned and resulted in oxygen leakage. Oh, how embarrassing. And then the leaking oxygen formed an ephemeral oxygen-rich environment in the confined space. The considerable heat generated or emitted from the aircraft components and systems in the space ignited the combustible materials in the oxygen-rich environment. The leaking oxygen exacerbated the development and spread of the fire, resulting in the substantial damage to the aircraft. Oh, I probably should have read this before I just started reading it out loud on a podcast, but I think I got those words correct. Mostly anyway. The MAK analyzed most of the area below the cockpit floor got slightly fire damaged, and only the area under the right AOA sensor was severely burned. The severity of the fire damage of the EFIS control panel and audio control panel on the right side console was gradually reduced from bottom to top, from back to front, and from right to left. Oh, thank you for all that information.
Wow.
It was reduced greatly. The burning loss of the right side oxygen mask was reduced from bottom to top, and the burning damage of the wander light installed behind the oxygen mask generally reduced from the bottom up. Hey, bottoms up. All right. Among the 2 burned regulator control units, do I need to read all this? Basically, they had a fire up there behind the audio control panel and the oxygen system, right?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Okay, good.
So
Now,
pretty bad fire.
Interestingly, Jeff, they say it was an ephemeral oxygen-rich environment. Ephemeral meaning short in duration, which is exactly what we do every time we get in a cockpit and we test the oxygen masks. So we all go down, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but every time you're doing your cockpit preparation, you go past the oxygen mask, and we would lift up the flap. We would do a test of one part of the oxygen system, and then a second. Both times we would squirt neat oxygen through the mask into the left console.
Yep.
Which I'm going, how come we don't catch fire every time we do that? So what's going on here?
Well, something else was sparking there, obviously.
Yeah, old Sparky was, yeah. Well, that's very true. But yeah, sure. So if you've got a oxygen-rich environment, and you've got an ignition, things are going to get worse. Yeah, but I'm just a bit worried that this got away from them. They've got fire extinguishers in the flight deck. What were they doing? Anyway, they lost the whole airplane as a result.
And there were 8 crew members.
Yeah, 8 of them to fight
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, one of them could have been holding the darn fire extinguisher.
exactly. Oh, wow.
Yeah, come on, iHall boxes. Tell us what's going on here.
Yeah.
He's still confused. He thought that we were starting at 2100 Z. We changed that. Should we tell him that we changed it because we thought it would confuse him so much he wouldn't show up?
By the way, I would point out that perhaps part of the reason is the fact that the fire was in the region of the cockpit portable fire extinguisher bottle. So perhaps they were a bit reluctant to go grab that particular bottle. But
That's unfortunate.
yes, exactly. But they should have had some more elsewhere on the airplane, I'm sure.
You would think so, yeah.
Yes.
But as RJ is saying, it was quite a substantial fire damage situation. I mean, the airplane was just basically kind of went in, broke in half.
It was toasted.
Just after the wing.
And Jeff, do you know how the fire burned? Was it from top to bottom, left to right?
Well, I'm thinking that it was top to bottom, right to left, and then left to right.
I see.
I could be wrong. It really depends on where you're standing.
Right.
Right. Yeah. We'll have some pics in the what do you call them again? Show notes.
Sure.
You can see this badly damaged aircraft. But wow.
Perfect.
Oh well. Yeah.
All right.
I guess that's about all we can really say about that. I mean, top to bottom. Okay, we'll give that a shot. Let's see. This was sent. It's a video. Thank you. Okay. We do have. This was sent in by both Radio Roger and Triple H. He calls himself Hank Humphrey. And
hang on a minute. There's another H required in there. If your name's Hank Humphrey, you're only double H. I'm sorry.
The Holy Hank Humphrey.
Holy.
Maybe. That's
is he?
True. He's sent us feedback in the past and explained the whole Triple H thing, and we have subsequently forgotten.
Sorry, Hank.
Yeah. We do our best, but as RJ likes to remind us, we always shoot for 50%, and usually we attain it. In this case, we got about 67.777%.
Oh, so it's above. Yeah.
Yeah, above for sure. Perfect. All right. This is from, I wouldn't say perfect, but close enough, from the Huffington Post. Let's see. At least 6 members of... Okay, something happened. 2 airplanes bumped wings at DCA, Reagan National Airport. At least 6 members of Congress were on board a passenger jet whose wing was clipped by another plane as it awaited takeoff at DC's Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Representatives Grace Meng, Josh Gottheimer, Nick LaLota, who we'll hear from shortly in the video, Richie Torres, and Gregory Meeks all shared on social media that they were on board the flight that got sideswiped. Meng told the New York Times that Representative Adriano Espaillat, they were also on board, and Meeks indicated there was one more member of Congress seated. I mean, were there any other people on board this thing other than Congress people?
None that counted.
Yeah.
Which is why most of these incidents never get to our attention, because there are no congressmen on board.
Now, I thought that they were supposed to keep their mouths shut because if they complain too much about the safety issues at DCA, they'll shut down that airport, and then it's going to be very inconvenient for them to get in and out of Washington.
Good point. Good, well made.
I guess they didn't get the memo.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. Okay. Let's see. Hi, everyone. I'm okay. According to Representative Meng, everyone on the flight's okay. They're fixing the wing now. Everyone's safe. They tried to kill all the Congress people, but they missed us. She did not say that. Okay, so why don't I play a little video then, huh? Okay, pop that up there, Liz. Let me know you're good. All right, let's see if this plays.
Now, we know that several members of Congress were on board the plane, and I had a chance right afterward, really a short time ago, to speak with one of them very briefly before they boarded another plane. Congressman Nick LaLota, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. I appreciate it.
Hey, good to be on with you.
All right, so first off, can you kind of walk me through what happened overall, what you saw, what you heard, all of it?
Yeah, while stationary on a passenger plane, a small commuter plane, maybe 3 or 4 rows in first class, about 20 in the main cabin, so maybe a maximum capacity of about 80 or 90 passengers altogether. A small commuter plane going from DCA to JFK. We were stationary on the runway in DC, waiting for 5 or 6 minutes while stationary to be next in line to then ultimately take off for JFK. We got bumped. We got clipped on our right wing. I was seated, I think, in row 12. And when I looked, I heard the big sound, feel like a small boom or something like that. But then I looked outside the window and I saw another plane about the same size passing us by on the right-hand side. And our wing was flapping a little bit. So it was apparent that our wing got clipped.
What was the reaction from the captain, flight attendants, other passengers? Can you kind of break that down for me?
Yeah, at first, folks didn't know what was going on. They heard the sound. Thankfully, the fuselage really didn't shake or anything like that. But folks were curious as to what the sound was. And when
And we heard the captain sobbing from the cockpit.
Looked out the same right side windows that I did and saw that wing flapping, it was apparent that it was our wing that got hit by another plane who was passing us on the right. The crew, the captain, kept us in place there for maybe felt like 30 or so minutes until the FAA gave us some more precise instructions, and then they brought us back to the gate where they're doing an inspection on the plane right now.
And we're talking about another issue with an aircraft. There's obviously been several of them over the past several months, but also another incident at Reagan. So what do you make of all of that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so in Congress is taking a look at this, and there were 6 members of Congress on this small plane, so we each had a front row seat to this incident. Some of the prior ones, policies and procedures and personnel are being analyzed as to how those terrible mishaps happened. This one feels a little bit different. Obviously, the consequences were not as dire. Everybody is safe. I don't think anybody's hurt or whatnot on either plane. I understand the other plane was going to Charleston, and it was about the same size. Thankfully, no injuries apparently were sustained. And I'm not an expert in this field, but it felt like to me that it was probably just the other pilot's discretion of passing us too closely or maybe too quickly. So I don't know that this is going to be necessarily blamed on process or procedure or staffing, but we'll see where the investigations take us. And that 6 members of Congress were on this plane. I suspect that folks are going to drill down pretty precisely on this.
And my last question here, because I know you do have to go, does this concern you to fly in any way after having a situation like this?
Yes.
No, I don't think that in this particular incident, my safety was at risk. Perhaps the other pilot was a little too aggressive in his overtaking of us, but at no time did I feel like my safety was at jeopardy. So I remain confident. I'll be back on a plane here real soon again, flying in and out of DCA.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us here. We're glad you're okay. Anything you want to add?
No. That's where we're going to stop that clip, and we're going to get us back on screen there. And we, okay. So I'm glad that they had a chance to interview the congressman there, and I think that it was actually very surprisingly very accurate idea of what transpired here, why this incident occurred, and the fact that they didn't go like bananas about the recent changes in several of the federal agencies here in the U.S. as far as staffing and such. They've made it so clear so many times that they're not cutting people that are in safety sensitive positions like air traffic controllers and everything else. And so I thought he had a very level-headed analysis of this whole thing. But what I'd like to say is that when I started flying for Delta, back in the early 90s, actually late 80s, early 90s, one of the places that I went to quite often was DCA. And I remember the first time that we were pulling into one of the little holding areas right in, before the runway, and how the captain would get that airplane in there. And at that time I was on the 727, and I'm thinking, we are so darn close to this other airplane. I don't know how our wing is not hitting this other airplane. And I was thinking to myself, thank goodness I have no control over anything on the ground as far as, the steering tiller and everything else, because this just made me almost frightened, like just seeing how close these airplanes appeared to me. And I'm thinking, one of these days, Jeff, you're going to have to do it. And sure enough, fast forward about 12 years, I was captain on the MD series, MD-88, MD-90, going in and out of DCA quite a bit. And so now it was up to me not to hit other airplanes. And these areas, what would you call that area, RJ?
The whole shot area, the holding pad of the in the general aviation world, they call it the run up area, the run up pad.
Yeah, the run up pad. Yeah, I think that's
but I think DCA calls it the hold point, or the
so
the
they're
penalty
on either
box.
sides of the airport. Now, most of the time, it seemed, from my experience, that they were operating in the north operation. So that area back on the south end of the airport there for runway 1 was really interesting, because you're crossing one, maybe two runways, and then you're crossing some taxiways, and there's a bunch of different angles that you can approach it. And it's kind of interesting. And you kind of like, there's no defined procedure for exactly where to put your airplane and what angle to put it or anything. It's just like, you're on your own, guys. Just don't hit another
Figure
airplane.
it out. Yep.
Yeah, figure it out, exactly. And then on the north end, this is where this one took place. They were in a south operation, so they're on the north end. It's a little bit more, to me anyway, from what I remember, a little bit more organized up there. So you kind of just file in place, and there's kind of a natural way to kind of situate your aircraft. But I don't know if you'd agree with me or not, RJ, but when you get up there and you're turning the nose, and what the turn radiuses are on your airplane.
Right.
And if your nose clears, then supposedly your wing's going to clear. But I mean, honestly, sometimes, and it depends on the aircraft, of course, and the geometry. But I don't know, it still looks awfully close to me.
It is so tight. I feel like those taxi lines, they're not clearly defined taxiways with edge markings and things like that. They're just lines down the runway, around the taxiway, and they have multiple taxi lanes. I sometimes feel they're way too close, and if one of the aircraft were to be pushed back just a little bit off, it gets tight. It gets hairy.
Yeah. I've seen some aircraft like next to me, and they're starting to move, and you're thinking, I hope you know what you're doing. But so one of the things that this holding, they don't necessarily go in sequence. So the one that's all the way furthest to the north doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the first ones out. So sometimes like you might be number 3 in position, but you have like a takeoff slot. And so we need to get the Delta flight out, immediately. So, and then they tell you to kind of move up and hold short of the runway itself. So, there's a lot of jockeying going on there. But anyway, when I was reading this incident, I'm thinking, well, it doesn't surprise me that this doesn't happen more often.
Yeah.
Looks like it was involving 2 ERJs and Embraer regional jets. They have those winglets that are kind of angled a little bit upward and outward. And I guess one just kind of misjudged it just a bit.
Yeah.
They were this close to clearing it. So that's some of the fun at DCA. just a little bit of the fun.
Just some. Yeah.
Yeah. But it brought me back and made my heart start beating hard. I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, let's see. Well, let me take a look-see. Collision with... Yeah, let's do that. Let's wait for Camacho to do that one. Okay. Anything else to say or anything? I would imagine, Captain Nick, you don't get, or did not in your experience get the opportunity to, at least when you were flying airliners, the big 330, 340s, to do this kind of jockeying around and being very, very close to other aircraft, or did you?
Not often. There were a couple of places, and I'm trying to think. There was one particular holding area in Atlanta, I think, where you had at least three taxiways all merging towards a single entry to a runway. And if you rolled too far forward, you would actually block the other two, at least one of the other two taxiways, and prevent anyone else from getting on, which was great if you wanted to jump the queue. But
sorry.
Again, there was there was no clear indication of where you were actually supposed to stop in order to ensure wingtip clearance. And we all know how hard it is to judge where your wingtips are. You can't really see them, and even if you can, it's with parallax, it's very hard to work out where your wingtip's going to be as you taxi and turn. So, I really think that ground markings should be, updated to account for this, and that a proper procedure should be installed in these places where the risk is obviously high, because it's damned expensive, and let alone the inconvenience to all the congressmen who want to get where they're going.
Oh yeah. That's the biggest hurdle here, these
Right.
congressmen. Yeah.
That's the whole point of the story. That's
Yeah.
why we're covering it.
Exactly.
There's no aviation angle to any of this.
Hey, so RJ, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to fly into or out of Atlanta. Do you know what Captain Nick was?
I have once or twice. I have gone into Atlanta on the rare occasion.
I was pretty reluctant to mention that, but because I can't even remember which runway it was. You guys will probably remember where it was, but it was somewhere up in the middle of the airport somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know. Who was that talking to me in the background? I don't remember who that is. Okay. Very good. Moving right along. I love it. Let's do, I guess, E. Oh, yeah. Okay. Not really much on this one, but we'll just do it because it's an update. So we covered this when it happened, or shortly after it happened. They found a couple of bodies in the wheel well of a JetBlue plane at, was it Fort Lauderdale? Yeah. And so, they found two dead humans, and they determined that they were from, was it Haiti that they got on the aircraft, or Dominican Republic, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was the Dominican Republic.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay. Florida investigators identified a pair of teenagers whose bodies were found in an airline's landing gear after a New York City to Florida flight in January. It took the use of extensive DNA testing for detectives to name, we don't need to name them, according to the Broward County, Florida Sheriff's Office. Both teens were from the Dominican Republic there. Okay, you're right. And their bodies were found late January 6th after JetBlue flight 1801 had landed at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. So, right. Yeah, I think you're right, Liz. They got on in the Dominican Republic. That was the first flight early in the morning. I think it went into New York, and then they went from New York to probably Salt Lake City. I think you're right about that, and then back, and then so by the end of the day in the evening, much later in the day, when they finally made it down from New York to Fort Lauderdale, is when they made the discovery. So they were in there. However, they positioned themselves. It was, they managed to stay in that area. So, yeah, very sad. Okay, let's continue on with, let's see. Oh, the horrific accident that occurred in South Korea, the Jeju Air Flight 2216 in at Muan International Airport in South Korea. This occurred in, I think, January, right? Or was it December? Maybe it was last year. Oh, it was the close to the end of December, December 29th. Anyway, they have some new information regarding that. The investigation has been going on for quite some time now. The pilots of this is from New York Times. Okay, thank you. The pilots of Jeju Air Flight 2216 signaled 3 different plans for landing the stricken plane in the minutes before it crashed and killed 179 people in December, according to a partial transcript of their communication with air traffic control obtained by New York Times. The transcript shows that the pilots reported a bird strike, radioed a Mayday. By the way, happy Mayday, everybody. Let's see, they made a Mayday call as they approached Muan International Airport in South Korea on the morning of December 29. They said they would turn left, then asked to turn right, intending to approach the airport's Seoul runway from the south. When that failed, air traffic controllers asked if they wanted to land from the opposite direction, and the pilot said yes. The plane landed on its belly, overran the runway, struck a concrete structure that housed navigational aids, bursting into a deadly fireball. Only 2 people survived, flight attendants at the very back of the plane, which was a Boeing 737-800. They were the only ones that survived the crash. The cause of the disaster, the deadliest plane crash on South Korean soil, is still being investigated. And the exchange between the pilots and the control tower could be a crucial piece of the puzzle. That's because it covers a period of about 4 minutes during which both of the plane's flight recorders, known as black boxes, had stopped recording. The transcript includes no information about the state of the jet's 2 engines or its electrical supply. That's going to be critical, I think, in what's going to happen here, or trying to determine what happened, which are intense areas of focus for investigators. Still unclear why the black boxes went dark or why the airplane's landing gear was not engaged or extended, I guess. The transcript was read out to the relatives of the victims, and they have not publicly released the transcript, and the board did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And so I guess they have a little bit more in-depth information about the transcript. At 8:58 a.m., the pilots reported a bird strike to the tower. Mayday, Mayday, one of the pilots said, going around. Authorities later found feathers and blood from migratory ducks known as Baikal teals in both of the jet's engines. Eyewitness videos also recorded a loud bang from the plane's right engine, which aviation experts have described as a compressor stall or a disruption of the airflow in the engine. After the Mayday call, the control tower told the pilots to maintain runway heading and climb to 5,000 feet. The pilots acknowledged that. That's standard procedure when an aircraft's unable to land, according to Hyo-seok Chang. I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name. An assistant professor in the Department of Air Transportation and Logistics at Hanseo University in South Korea. Let's see, but seconds after the pilots agreed to that plan, before the airplane could reach 5,000 feet, the control tower pressed them to state their intentions. They answered that they would make a left turn and land shortly on runway 1. So I guess they're going to kind of just make a left 360, apparently. The pilots may have determined that returning all the way to the holding point and attempting another approach to runway 1 would cause further issues with the aircraft. They probably didn't want to fly through those birds again, maybe. The compressor stall observed in videos indicates that there was a problem with at least one of the jet's engines. 10 seconds later, the pilots reported that they were unable to land. They asked whether they could make a right turn and head to runway 1, and the tower gave them permission to do so. Okay, a little confusing there for me. The transcript does not explain why this attempt failed, but just after 9:01, air traffic controllers asked whether the pilots wanted to approach the runway from the north. Do you wish to land on runway 19? The pilot said yes, and the tower cleared them to land. Less than 2 minutes later, the plane hit the tarmac with its landing gear deployed. I'm sorry, without its landing gear deployed. It skidded past the end of the runway, slammed into the concrete structure, burst into flames. It's not clear what the air traffic controllers or the pilots knew about the concrete structure, which housed what is known as an instrument landing system. Under international safety standards, such structures are supposed to be built to collapse on impact, but this one was not. Okay, well, they were probably not thinking that they were going to end up that far beyond the end of this runway. I'm thinking, that's probably why they weren't, discussing the concrete structure of the localizer array. Yeah, any points to be made from either of you two gentlemen regarding this transcript?
I suspect that they had issues with both engines, and I suspect that it was taking them a little while to analyze exactly the situation they were in. And when they realized how dire it was, they probably then tried to just make the easiest bit of tarmac they could. So without a map in my head and, some indication of the aircraft's position, it's very hard to say what was the best approach to make. But quite honestly, they got the airplane onto the runway, which I think, if you've lost all power, certainly looks like the fact that they lost a lot of electrics, which killed their voice recorder and their data recorders. They were in a pretty dire situation. They did a pretty good job, perhaps even getting it to a runway. And in 9 times out of 10, if you overrun a runway, you're going to go into what is usually a semi-prepared overrun strip. No one expects there to be a damn concrete barrier there, which is, after all, only holding a bunch of aerials. It's not holding something absolutely vital that you can't run into. It's
not
just
the terminal or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that the Koreans are having a look at fixing all their airports, because this isn't the only one that has this kind of a concrete structure in a completely inappropriate position. So you go to most airports and you'll find that all the runway lights and all the aerials are semi-frangible, so they're designed to break on impact if an aircraft overruns the runway. And that's what was supposed to be the situation in South Korea. There's no reason why they shouldn't have been able to do that, but I suspect that they built it. No one bothered to worry about it then, and they've carried on with it ever since.
Well, I mean, had they had the landing gear deployed and had braking, even without power, they would have had some sort of braking or emergency braking. Yeah. So I would imagine that in that situation that they would have been able to stop before the end of the runway. It wasn't a super short runway, so that was the last thing on their minds, I think, that they were going to be encountering that berm with the.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how long it takes to get the gear down on an emergency system on the 7.3. I'm assuming it's relatively simple. Certainly is on the Airbus.
So. Yep.
But I don't know about the Boeing, I'm afraid.
That Boeing 737, from what I recall, doesn't even have main gear doors. It's like when the main gear comes up, there are no. You can see the gear itself in the wells.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I would imagine that it's a pretty quick gravity backup or deployment system. Yeah. I'm hoping that the investigators will be able to determine why maybe they were just so busy and focused so much on getting the airplane on the ground that they maybe forgot to put the gear down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's possible.
Didn't Dana used to fly the 7.3 for a while?
Yeah. He did.
Mm.
Perhaps he's got some insight. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to ask him.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Well, not really, but that's enough of that. Okay. I'm not sure. Did I get I don't think I got the video on this one. And that's kind of critical. Yeah, let's skip that one because I definitely want to play the video on that one. Okay, let's go to I. Okay,
Aye.
very good. So here, we're going to continue then with this from Politico.com, a premier aviation reporting service. The U.S.
Don't let
Navy...
the name fool you.
Yeah, don't let the name fool you. U.S. Navy fighter jet falls overboard while avoiding Houthi attack. Let's see. I have a nice little picture of an FA-18 coming in for a trap on an aircraft carrier, the Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean Sea in May of 2018. Very cool. Okay. A Navy fighter jet fell overboard Monday. Overboard! When the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier veered to avoid fire from the Houthis, according to two defense officials. Houthi fighters in Yemen have attacked commercial and military shipping in the waterway for the past 2 years. One sailor was injured in the mishap, which included the loss of a vehicle used to tow the aircraft across the deck. The plane and the truck sank. They were connected, according to the officials who were granted anonymity. Anonymity. Thank you. I don't know why I always have trouble with that word. Anonymity. Anonymity. To speak about the attack. The FA-18E was actively under tow in the hangar bay when the move crew lost control of the aircraft, the Navy said in a statement. Sailors towing the aircraft took immediate action to move clear of the aircraft before it fell overboard. Run away! An investigation is underway. And I have a little clip from one of the YouTube channels I follow. This dude his name is Ward Carroll. He's a veteran F-14 Tomcat radar intercept officer. He's a writer and a military commentator and a YouTuber. And we're going to play his video if you're ready, Les. Okay, let's do it.
The Navy statement does say that the VFA-36 F-18E, which is the single-seat model as opposed to the two-seat F model, was actively under tow when the move crew lost control. The move crew consists of a tractor driver, a taxi director, wing walkers carrying chalks and chains ready to quickly secure the jet when ordered by the taxi director, and a plane captain in the cockpit as what we call a brake rider.
There we go. Oh, just a little tiny video short. Yeah, but that kind of gives you an idea of the team involved in moving these things around. And, you know, when an aircraft carrier makes a sudden maneuver like that, you gotta be on your toes, I guess. Let's see. The U.S. Central Command has conducted more than 800 airstrikes against the group as part of Operation Rough Rider. That's the largest American air campaign since the operation against ISIS, which targeted the terrorist group in Syria and Iraq a few years back. The recent strikes have killed hundreds of Houthi fighters and numerous Houthi leaders, including senior Houthi missile and drone officials, according to a statement from CENTCOM, Central Command. Which has said it is specifically targeting Houthi commanders who control the group's drone forces. The operation has degraded Houthi capabilities, including reducing ballistic missile launches by 69% this year compared with 2024. According to the statement, launches of one-way attack drones have decreased by 55%. I guess those are kamikaze drones, huh? The open-ended U.S. campaign is part of a wider push to increase pressure on Iran, which continues to provide support to the Houthis in the form of drones, ballistic missiles, and small arms. This carrier, incidentally, was involved in another incident this year when it collided with a merchant ship near the Suez Canal, leading to the firing of its commander. Oops. The Pentagon also has dispatched at least 6 B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia, which is out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, in the British overseas or oceanic territories, I think, something like that, in the Indian Ocean in recent weeks, a move that puts them in range of Iran. Okay. Well said, Liz. We'll include that in the audio-only podcast so that there's no confusion. Yeah, we don't want to attack the Hooters. We want to attack Houthis.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying. All right. Yeah, let's get to know each other, and for that, I'm going to play this as soon as I can find it. Here we go. Getting to know us. It's a segment where we get together and determine and learn about what and share, what show and tell what we have all been up to since last appearing on the Airline Pilot Guy show. And we're going to start with somebody who has been the longest since his appearance or appearing on the show. And we've missed you, RJ, but you've been a very busy person. So tell us what you've been up to.
I have. I'm very happy to be back. But I've been early part of this year. I went back to Singapore to see my family. We do that once a year. My wife and I, my folks still live in Singapore, and my sister and all that. So it's always nice to go back and see the family, see the nieces, how they've grown in a year. That is Singapore. The first picture is Singapore. That is, that's a picture of, me and my wife and one of my good friends hanging out, at a rooftop bar and having a few adult beverages, having some food. Yeah.
Oh, I recognize that. It's a very famous.
That is the Marina.
Structure.
Yeah, it is the Marina Bay Sands right there. Yeah.
And what's the name of that building that has the three towers and they're all connected?
Yep, Marina Bay Sands.
That's what you've been saying. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the Marina Bay Sands. It's it's a casino hotel that's there, and it's got a rooftop infinity pool I hear, and it's got a couple of bars up there. I have been up to one of the bars once. I don't. I wouldn't say I've been to all the bars in Singapore.
That would be a lot.
That would be. I mean, I've been to a few. I've been to my fair share of bars in Singapore, but not all of them. But yeah, it was. We spent about 3 weeks there in Singapore altogether, and then my wife and I we took a little short trip to Thailand while we were there in Singapore, just a couple of days, just as a quick break, since we were already in the Southeast Asian region. And then, of course, since I am pretty junior in the airline, I didn't have vacation time to use for this trip, so I bid my trips around my trip to Singapore, which means that the powers that be still wanted me to fly my trips for the month.
They wanted their pound of flesh.
They did want their pound of flesh. So the last 2 weeks of the month were very, very interesting. I had 2 weeks of back-to-back trips with very little sleep time to kind of get readjusted to the time changes. So that was pretty busy. And now the last month or so since coming back from Singapore, I've just been flying my regular schedule, just kind of getting back into the swing of things, doing some civil air patrol flying as well, getting some of my currencies, my recencies expired, so I had to get that renewed. So that's always interesting and fun to do, getting back into GA. Remembering that I've got to use my feet once again on the rudder pedals instead of just sitting there. So that was all. And trim, I know, in an Airbus. As an Airbus pilot, that's always tricky. What is trim? So that was nice. And then just yesterday, my wife and I have been talking about it for a while now about adopting another dog. We already have one, Maya. The picture that you see, Maya's in the background, and we adopted this other dog yesterday. We went over to Palm Springs. There's a shelter there. My wife found a shelter there that doesn't really get a lot of foot traffic because it's out there in the desert, and they've got over 60 dogs there that are, they spend a lot of time at the shelter there because they don't have a lot of foot traffic. So we went over. We were there a couple of weeks ago in Palm Springs. We went for Coachella to see Green Day perform. Well, one of my favorite bands, so we had to go, and it was really a good trip. So since we were out there in Palm Springs, we went over to the shelter, visited, looked at some of the dogs and all that. And this is the dog that we came back with yesterday. So we made a road trip to Palm Springs, 2 hours each way, to pick up Maverick, is what we're calling him. Yes, and believe it or not, I did not come up with the name. My wife did. My wife, who is not in aviation at all, came up with the name of Maverick. So I'm like, yep, I agree.
No argument from me.
Nope.
So you didn't want to call him Goose then?
No, I did not. I did not. Maya is not used to not being the center of attention. So
top
she's
dog.
Yeah, the top dog. So she is slowly getting used to it. She is a mad dog. Ooh, the puns keep coming. This is good.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
But they've been getting along well. Last night was uneventful. This morning they were both playing around, running around and playing in the backyard. And so I think they will get along well together. We think Maverick is about 9-10 months old. We weren't thinking about getting a puppy, but as you can see, Maverick and Maya look pretty identical. One's in terms of colors. Maya's a German Shepherd mix.
That's very important to color coordinate.
Yeah, that's right. Because you don't want to have too many different colored fur all over your couch. You want to.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Is your couch the same?
It should be
palette as well.
It should be, but it's not. Unfortunately, the couch predated the dogs.
Okay.
But yes, so that's I've got 10 days off now as my schedule worked out. So I'm going to be spending the next 10 days kind of trying to get the puppy used to the house, and yeah. He is now right under my feet, dozing. So that's good. We also don't know if he's house trained. So
you're about to find out.
We'll find out. Yeah.
So if we see a look on your face, like not a good look on your face, you're going, he must be peeing on his foot or something.
Yeah. Thus far, so good.
More editing. Because of Liz. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
All right. Very good.
This is Dr. Bob. I had a moment there. Someone introduced me without saying a word. Jeff, are you still there? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, I figured you could hear Liz, so I didn't feel I needed to say anything. But so, Captain Nick,
absolutely. Thanks. Well, while we're on the subject of dogs, so we rescued ours from the vet. She went in yesterday for an operation, but to have some lumps that she has had on her, on her flanks, basically, and tail. So we're getting those, we've had them removed and we're getting them checked out, biopsies and things. More about that, I guess, when we get the results of the biopsies, but we've got our fingers crossed. In the meantime, all quiet here in the Anderson front. However, I was in touch with Captain Al, our old friend who's been on the show before and often contributes. Captain Al is a training captain, and we were chatting with him, and he said, do you know this bloke Mark, who's an airline pilot who lives in your village? And I said, no. He said, well, he's a lovely guy. You should get in touch with him, and gave me contact details. He said he's new to the industry, So I went, oh, brilliant. So I got in touch with airline pilot Mark and invited him across to my local pub, even though, it's only a spitting distance from where he lives as well. So he popped across to the Temple Inn, and we had a lovely lunchtime meal and a couple of beers. At least I did. And I chatted to Mark to find out what his story was. And, we often have people who are making a transition from a job unrelated to flying into the world of aviation because they've always had a desire to become an airline pilot. And when you play the interview, I think you'll discover that is exactly what Mark has done. So I'll let him explain.
All right.
Hi, Jeff. This is Captain Nick. And I'm sitting in the most lovely pub in our little village. And the weather is beautiful. It's sunny and warm with a gentle breeze, and we're outdoors. We've just had a great meal. And when I say we, I mean me and Mark. Is that the right thing? Mark and I? That's probably better. Anyway, Mark, I have discovered, lives in my village, and he is another airline pilot. And we're few and far between, despite the fact that we're, in an ideal spot for airline pilots to grow up. Mark has a fascinating history, and the airline industry for him is a second career. And I'm going to ask him to try and condense, because we've been chatting for over an hour. I'm going to try and condense that hour into 5 or 10 minutes while he tells you about himself and his transition from a fantastic and amazing high-flying career into one that actually takes him up and launches him into the upper atmosphere as an airline pilot. We're just going to call him Mark. That's his name. But we're not going to say anything about the airline because some airlines are a little bit funny about that. But I'm going to hand over to Mark now and ask him, Mark, tell us all about your amazing path from being a very well qualified bloke in a great industry to one that is now miles above what you used to do before.
Thanks very much, Nick. Okay, well, let's think. Where can I begin? So I have come from a career where I used to spend a lot of time in aeroplanes, but sitting in the back of the aeroplane. So I was working in New York, but commuting from the UK over to New York every week. So I spent the best part of 20 years gradually working my way from the back of the aircraft forwards. And after a very good career, I decided the only way to carry on further forwards in the aircraft was to be a pilot. So I decided during COVID it was a good time for a change, and left my job and embarked on what ended up being about 4 years worth of training. As we were talking about earlier, it certainly could be done more quickly than 4 years, but I think it's important to go and do the things that you really want to do in life as well. So I spread the training out a little bit, and then found myself very lucky to find a job just a few short months ago, and now I'm working on the line.
That's a very good condensation of what has been quite a difficult journey. I mean, where did you start in aviation? What gave you the seed that made you want to give up your fantastic job and join the rest of us looking downward on the rest of the world?
I think it goes back probably to being a child. So I remember as a child, I was 7 years old, lining up on the runway in a Dan Air aeroplane, going to Mallorca on a holiday with my parents. And in those days, you could go and visit the flight deck. And I remember visiting the pilots up there and just thinking, wow, this is the best thing ever. And fast forward then, another probably 15 years, and my girlfriend's uncle had a helicopter which he decided to bring around and land in my mother-in-law's garden in Liss, which was quite interesting. At the time, thinking, "Wow, that's the coolest thing ever! I would love to be able to do something like that." And so I started just learning to fly helicopters, and quickly pretty much bankrupt myself. Realized, my word, this is really expensive, and kind of put the whole aviation thing down for a long time whilst I carried on in my corporate world. And then when I was about 40 years old, I thought, right, I'm going to go and get myself a PPL. So I went down to Goodwood, started doing a PPL out down there, really enjoyed it. And from there thought, well, actually, I wonder if I could turn this into a career. And years ago, when I'd been a teenager, I tried to see if I could go into flying. My eyesight wasn't good enough. Back then, I was short-sighted, and you couldn't get a medical with that level of correction. Fast forward again, and laser surgery's allowed, had laser surgery on my eyes, and medical was okay to get a class 1. So yeah, all of a sudden it was like, well, actually I could do this now. I could actually try and give this a go. So yeah, 2021, I left my job, started doing all the training, and went through the roller coaster that is flight training.
That's remarkable. I didn't realize that because you don't wear glasses. So I just thought you were one of those fit young men.
Sadly not.
Is yet to suffer the problems that most of us do. No, that's fantastic. It's such a different world to where you came from. And I'm delighted the fact that you enjoy it so much. But what has been the biggest hurdle?
I think for me, it's very different to come out of a corporate world where you have a team around you, and you're always supported. So there's always a whole group of people that can help you achieve a goal. And when you come out of that and you start flight training, it's just you. So sure, there's instructors, but the majority of the effort needs to be done by you. There's a huge undertaking to learn so many things. And I think for most pilots that I talk to, we're all the kind of people who tend to put a good chunk of pressure on ourselves to be successful. And so going through all of training, the endless exams, the endless flight skills tests, it is, it's really hard work. I guess for me, being perhaps a little bit older, maybe that information doesn't go into my brain quite so readily. So it takes me a little bit longer to sit there and revise everything. So yeah, I think probably the hardest part is just keeping up that discipline of really working at something and doing that for what ends up being a couple of years before you actually, crack the whole thing and have yourself a license that allows you to step into an airliner.
Yeah, I realized that you say you'd taken 4 years to do this, so you've done it at a sort of a bit of a relaxed pace, but not really when it comes down to it, because there's nothing relaxed about trying to do a commercial and then an ATPL. I presume you've got a ATPL, yeah, you've done all those exams, you type ratings, and then the pressure that your own airline has put you under in order to work for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to, I guess, pressure from a work perspective. But yeah, as I said, this is a little different because you are entirely reliant on yourself to succeed. So, I mean, I would say having finished the part of the training where you're effectively on your own, I went through a modular route to training to then working for an airline. Now, obviously, once you start working for the airline, there is a wider support network there. However, there is more pressure because you are being tested day in, day out, and there is that requirement. You just can't have a bad day. You have to have all good days perpetually for months. So yes, it's certainly challenging. But the reward is having got through that now, and now being on the line, I get to enjoy actually being able to absorb the experience. And it's just fantastic. The other morning I was flying early morning departure out of London, and you can look back across the sun rising over London. It's just like, wow, this is incredible compared to my old job where I was sat in front of a computer screen for the best part of 14 hours a day. This is just incredible.
I love it. I love it. It's always wonderful to speak to people who've made this transition because we have a lot of listeners who I think many want to, very few attempt it, and not everyone succeeds. We often get people who need that little bit of inspiration in their lives to either make the step or just to keep on going because they are struggling a little bit. And we all know how hard that can be at times. And yeah, you've finally got onto the line. You've done all your training and you're now flying with, just run of the mill captains. Is that different?
I think everybody I've flown with so far since getting onto the line has an incredibly good attitude to A, understanding that I'm still new, and B, wanting to help provide kind of their experience and their insights. So outside of the training environment, some of that pressure is off. It's been replaced by a different pressure, which is obviously now you don't have that safety net there. You have the captain sat next to you, but you don't have a line training captain per se. They're not expecting you to make a mistake. And so it's a different kind of flying, but something that I'm really enjoying. It's a little bit more relaxed, but that gives you then the capacity to really, really see more of what's going on, to absorb more of the essay around you. And I found, as we were talking about earlier, I was getting to a point with the line training where I felt like I was sort of starting to plateau a little bit in terms of that steep curve was shallow. There wasn't the same kind of learning at the end of the week where you think, wow, I've learned tons this week. It was starting to be like, well, I've been doing more and more of the same sort of thing this week. Whereas now I'm on the line, that curve has shot up again because it's coming at it from a different experience level now. And just, as I said, being able to absorb rather than having information sort of thrown at you.
Now, you're an Airbus pilot. How do you enjoy the Airbus?
I love the Airbus. I absolutely love the Airbus. Coming from a world of computers in my prior career, I really love the Airbus. It's a fantastic aircraft, very comfortable, very, I would say, intuitive to fly. It's the kind of thing that I think you can quickly get to grips with, although it takes a long time to really master. There's a lot of systems there. I absolutely love systems. I love learning about systems. I love to really get into the detail of what's going on kind of behind the scenes in an aircraft. And there's so many systems on an aircraft, on an Airbus that you can learn. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I have to agree. I might add that Mark also has a little sideline writing apps, and the app that I've got on my phone tells me when the level crossing in my local village is up or down, which is very important knowledge because it spends half its life down and you can be stuck in huge queues. So thank you for that, and long may that continue. What do you do in your spare time, though, apart from writing software and flying airplanes?
Well, I got a family that keeps me busy. A wife and two children, two daughters about 16 and 18. So one's just going off to university this year. I like to do heaps of cycling. So I have a touring bike. I try and do some very long distance cycles. That's probably one of the reasons why flight training took me so long, because I was out on the bike just enjoying things. So I've done a few continental cycles. Land's End to John O'Groats, and then all the way down as far as Pisa in Italy. So it keeps me busy.
Well, yeah. I mean, people across the state in the States won't understand the importance of Land's End to John O'Groats, but it is basically the most southern point to the most northern point in the British mainland. So that's a considerable distance, and in our weather, not brilliant fun, I wouldn't have thought. But going all the way down to Pisa, right across Europe, tell me a bit about that.
It's challenging. So yeah, where in the UK you have the weather, which is your biggest challenge. Once you get out to the Alps, suddenly, the Alps become your biggest challenge. So yeah, there's plenty of climbing, plenty of descending, and once you get south of the Alps in the summer, it's super hot. So trying to carry enough water is quite a challenge as well. But what I would say is it's been amazing to both do that route on a bicycle where you can appreciate it from the ground, and then now to, almost every week flying over the top of the same road and seeing it from 35,000 feet. It's just amazing to be able to relate, I guess, that knowledge of how, as you're traveling south, the Alps start to grow in front of you, and the way that the whole of the scenery of Europe unfolds as you're progressing south, and then to see that from the air as well. It's just incredible to build up, if you like, that sort of that unique perspective of Europe from the air.
That's fantastic. Look, Mark, it's been absolutely brilliant. I'm sure we could chat for hours, and we'd become the best of buddies in a very short time, and in thoroughly enjoying this. But I think we need to probably, at this point, hand it back to Jeff. I just wanted to thank you very much indeed for coming and meeting me, and I've enjoyed your company enormously, and I wish you well for your continued career in aviation.
Thank you very much, Nick. And back to Jeff in the studio.
Good
Well,
job.
thank you very much. Great interview. Thank you, Captain Nick, for doing that. Great audio.
He was a lovely bloke,
quality,
so
by the
it was an absolute pleasure to chat to Mark. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had a lovely meal, and this kind of year with a bit of sunshine, what could be nicer?
Yeah. Yeah,
he said to me that he could have retired and just not worked anymore, but instead of which he put some of his money into his heart's desire to become an airline pilot, and I applaud him because he, like he said, he's been at the training for a little over 4 years, and that is a long time to be under the hammer. Because as those of you who've been through the training, it is almost continual assessment and under pressure for a very long time, and there's really no let up, and he's finally got himself on the line, and he's starting to relax into the job, and I hope he continues to enjoy it as much as he has up to now.
That's the reason why I had to retire, because I'm untrainable. So they just let me go. And what did house training? No, I think that's something entirely different. So the question I was going to ask you, Captain Nick, was what did you mean by run-of-the-mill line pilots, line captains?
Oh, run-of-the-mill is just, Joe Average. Or Jeff Average in your case, yes. Or Rajit Average.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did explain a little about his job, and I'm not going to reveal too much other than he had about 500 employees in his department, and he basically commuted back home for the weekends. Funnily enough, on Virgin, I might well have flown him a few times, but basically went back out to New York for his week's work. So and he said it was a very high pressure job, and he was very happy actually to give it up for the relative low pressure, I think, of being an airline pilot.
That's right.
Can you imagine what kind of balance he has on his mileage, his flying?
Oh yeah,
yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, I wonder what color card he had.
Yeah.
No, that would have been good for him, mate. If Concorde had been around there, that would have made a big difference.
For sure. All right.
Yeah,
well,
very
very
nice.
nice to meet him, and thanks again, Captain Nick, for taking one, for the team and actually having to go to the pub and drink beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks to Mark for taking the time to come and chat. It was really nice.
Yeah. I'll bet they will be. Yeah. Okay.
If the level crossings if the level crossings up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, that's very clever. Okay. Yeah, for me, nothing significant whatsoever. Just the typical singing going on, and it was another busy weekend last weekend, and sort of going to be another busy weekend for me this upcoming weekend. There's some First Communions services or masses on Saturday, in addition to the normal vigil mass that I sing at. I ended that sentence with a preposition. Sorry about that. Then the Sunday masses as well. Although it's interesting, one of the first or the earliest mass that I sing, at which I sing on Sunday morning, is the 9 o'clock, and another persons are taking over for our regular ensemble. So that's going to be interesting. And although I think that I have a feeling that I might somehow be involved in that particular mass under the different direction. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Not sure exactly how that's all going to shake out, but looks like I get to sleep in a little bit more on Sunday morning, which is nice. So I did. I got a haircut, and she put the stuff in it and did something. She combed it differently than I normally comb it, and it's kind of fun. Well, it's interesting when my hair this is probably not interesting to anybody but me, but when my hair gets a little bit longer, I don't know if you noticed, but it just naturally the part starts shifting to the center for some reason. And so that's the way I came in this morning, and she hasn't seen me in a while because it was quite long. And maybe she just made the assumption that that's the way I'm parting my hair now, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I do it myself, and I don't have somebody, drying and styling my hair for me every morning. That would be nice.
Yeah, you should just go back there every morning.
Yeah, well, I could do that, although I'd run out of my retirement savings pretty quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah, very quickly.
Does she trim your mustache as well?
She actually looked at my mustache and said, "Oh, it looks good. I can't do anything to help that." But she did, she cut my eyebrows and, I Haul Boxes likes it. Thank you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Here, let me give you the full. Yeah.
Oh.
You flattened the middle now.
Yeah, you did.
The headphones have
headphones
made a mess of it.
I do have headphone hair. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, back to the hairdresser then.
When I look at you head on there, Jeff, it reminds me of a bank of fog and a mad dog's just gone through to land.
Cut through the fog.
And it's
that's exactly
the
that's
fog
the look
apart.
I'm going for.
Would you call it a fog cutter?
Yes, indeed. Well done.
Full circle.
We were talking about drinking fog cutters earlier. Very good. Well done.
Yeah, that was pre-show, I think. Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah. Oh, no. You mean the prestigious member of our august APG community is criticizing preposition stranding? The primary concern is not the preposition itself, but whether it is stranded at the end, separated from its object. And I think I gave a good example of that, actually. Didn't I? What? Good separation is a good thing, as we learned from our first news story in our news segment. That was not good separation. I Haul Boxes, you're getting a little bit personal. Although, do you know any good Brazilians? I'd be more than happy to engage. Yeah, but I know what you were talking about, and I'd rather not talk about my pubic life in public. Yeah. Okay, coffee fund. Yes, before I get in any trouble.
Any more trouble?
Already in. Yeah, here we go. Coffee fund. It's, I'll let them talk.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, yeah. The Coffee Fund. We love the Coffee Fund. We love our Coffee Bar Club members. They're, speaking of an august group of wonderful people that like to support us financially. And you know what? We all love supporters, right? You know, it helps things, you know. Yes, especially if you're playing athletics. Anyway, if you want to join this wonderful group of people that support us financially, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. We'll mention that again at the end of the segment here. But we have a couple of different ways to participate, and one is called the Coffee Fund Classic Method, and that's essentially a one-off PayPal donation page that you can contribute to if you'd like. We have some people that do recurring contributions as well, but one who made a nice contribution just out of the blue is a gentleman named Trevor Bear. And Trevor actually sent a note in with his contribution, and I'm going to read it to you right now. And it says, for the APG cruise Oshkosh 2025 travel, coffee, and other expenses. And then he puts in parentheses, AKA adult beverages. He said, I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. Hey, Trevor, we're looking forward to seeing you as well. And all of you out there listening. Pardon me? I got my credentials. Thank you. Thanks to our producer, Liz, who coordinated for our media credentials at Oshkosh, and myself and Dr. Steph and Nick Camacho. The three of us are going to be present and representing the Airline Pilot Guy show. So we hope to see you, dear listener, as well. RJ, are you going?
I'm trying to go. I have to bid my schedule around it, but the plan is right now to be there for as much of the week as possible.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do want to. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with RJ on the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
a bit too much fun.
Too much fun. Yeah, we won't talk about that. Let's see. The other way that you can participate in the Coffee Bar Club is via Patreon, patreon.com/airlinepilotguy, where you can pledge a certain amount per creation, per episode, and stipulate a maximum amount to contribute per month, etc. And we have a great group of folks that are doing that. And so thank you so much to the present and past patrons. You know, people come and go, and that's completely understandable. I get that, you know, that happens. And the same thing happens. Yeah, life happens. The same thing happens with me. I'm a patron of several different YouTube creators and podcasters and such. And, you know, sometimes you come and go. Anyway,
the show that shall not be named, including the show that.
We don't talk about certain shows. That's for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so with that said, we want to again direct you to the website airlinepilotguy.com and the coffee tab, and you can learn more about the Coffee Bar Club if you so desire. So thank you so much to all of you who have contributed in the past and are contributing now and will contribute in the future. We do appreciate and love you. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. That going to work out for all of you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Which ones, if we... Yeah, I know. But I'm just thinking about what... We could do number 3 if you want, or do you think that's going to take too much time? Okay. Yeah. 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Captain, incoming message.
Let's do some feedback. All right, the first one from... Oh, we have some audio feedback from Stefan. And we hope to have him again on the show soon. He is enjoying today Mayday in Hamburg, Labor Day, May 1st. And so I invited him to join, but he said that they've already got a bunch of plans and partying with neighbors and friends and that kind of thing. So that's a very lame excuse, Stefan, but okay, we'll let it go this time. So anyway, he says, "Hi, Jeff. It was interesting listening to your last episode. That's what people say when they really don't mean something in a good way. They just say, it was interesting listening to your last episode." Okay. I could resist garbling some audio feedback to one of the topics at the end. I like also the pic that ChatGPT created for this. Greetings from Germany. Did we include that in? Okay. I forgot to ask you about that. But does it have something to do with the audio feedback? I think maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember exactly. Okay. Well, let's together listen to the audio feedback that Stefan sent us, and let's see if this image, this ChatGPT image, has something to do with it. Okay, here we go.
Hi, Liz. Hi, Dr. Steph. Hi, Captain Jeff and Nick. It was a great pleasure listening to your episode. I believe it was
That's better.
APG
Great pleasure.
658.
Great pleasure.
And Captain Nick and Jeff, you were talking about the differences about your experience within the airline, coming from a fighter history background or for a more military transport background. And it was very interesting for me to see or to hear that there's a lot of difference how your perception of your follow-on career in the airliner was. And I think I got it right that you were saying that you got a very, Captain Jeff, you got a very collective feeling in your company with an old legacy airline and your what's called union, where the one who taking care of you, and the difference with, I guess, Virgin, where there were a lot of separate contracts with all the cockpit crews, and that there is, I got the feeling that you're more a single entrepreneur flying in the cockpit, of course, as a member of the team and a member of the airline, and that you very seldom, Captain Nick, were meeting one of your supervisors. So very interesting to see, to listen how the difference is. And I must tell you that I have a totally different perception in my company, which sounds more like a squadron type experience. Well, that might be also very unique, since the history with my company is that they had their own pilot up initial training pilot school. That means we were 2 years in pilot school, and then we went straight to the airline. We were kind of young, and with young, low fly hours, but very high educated or trained. And so you quite knew a lot of your colleagues in the cockpit. You have your flight course. My number was, by the way, 166. And so we are not always friends, but we know each other quite well. We occasionally even have meetings within our classes from 30 years ago. And so the feeling that you're kind of a family and obligated to your company was, or is, still quite high, but at least with a legacy and classic part of my group. Since 10 years ago, due to cost measurements, all the pilot school has been kind of dismantled and reformed again under a different brand name. Now together with the Swiss part of the company, it's not that anymore, that kind of feeling, but it's still very strong commitment to the company, and you know each other quite well. And I've seen my fleet captain quite a bit in the whole time, and we had regular pilots meetings and everything. So, well, it was interesting to see the difference and how the perception were in your airline, coming from the more fighter type or more transport type military part. Thanks for your show, and well, carry on, and hope to talk to you soon someday. Bye-bye.
Always great to hear from you, Stefan. And also just hearing different perspectives regarding the question posed to us on an earlier show regarding, the differences between the military atmosphere and the civilian atmosphere and flying airplanes and such. Anything to say regarding that, either of you?
Well, I think I appreciate it. If Lufthansa does really have a family feeling amongst their pilots, and I think that is engendered by, the friendships you make during training, and if you're doing all your training in the company and you're still meeting and flying with all the same pilots, it's going to be great. But there aren't many airlines that are as sophisticated as Lufthansa and do that. By the way, I just wanted to ask Liz to put the picture up once more. Is it my imagination, or does the wing of that A380 go straight through the fuselage of the
I saw
aircraft
that.
beside
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I think this might be a DCA incident.
We could have put that up for the DCA incident.
Exactly.
They're all decapitated.
Brilliant. Anyway, thanks very much for the feedback, Stefan. Good job.
Yeah. And going back to that image, I mean, I've never seen so much pilot group unity. They're all holding hands.
Amazing.
Yeah. They've all got funny fingers, though. Have you noticed their funny fingers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chat GPT, of course.
Yeah. Real cat's cradle going on there.
Since RJ, you weren't with us when we were answering this question posed regarding, the different experiences that we've had in going. Now, I know you didn't have a military background, correct?
Not
Civil Air
flying
Patrol.
the military. Yeah.
But I was looking at you thinking, because you're based in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And I would guess that my experience has been, I'm not guessing about that, that being at the largest base at my former airline,
Right.
Things are a little bit different. And I picked up on that actually, because I spent a lot of time in a lot of other bases, and
Right.
Especially the Los Angeles base. And I got the feeling, I could be wrong about this, but it's a smaller pilot base. And I think that maybe the smaller pilot bases probably have more of a squadron kind of feel, and maybe they get together more often and that kind of things.
That's exactly what I was coming to say was, they, I feel like LA seems to be a very small group, very close-knit group of pilots, and everyone kind of knows almost everyone else, and it's there's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of, people helping each other, pilots helping each other, if you will, looking out for each other, which, and I, not to take anything away from the union, I feel that the union does a great job as well. And we would not, a lot of the things we could not have done if the union had not facilitated the connections. But I think it's a great, small, close-knit group of pilots, especially on my fleet and in my base. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. It's always interesting to hear all these different perspectives. iHaul Boxes has a question from our live chat. Am I the only one not holding hands with my crew? Yeah.
Indeed. Yes. I mean,
duh.
Should you be telling us this in public, or is this a hypothetical?
It's not too late to give it a shot, iHaul.
Right.
And let us know how that went.
Yeah, that's right. Especially when you're setting thrust, make sure you hold the pilot's hand.
That's always a very touching moment. Literally. Very touching. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, he says. Oh yeah. Let's do that. We don't want to skip the analysis with the emphasis on anal.
I'll keep it
and
short.
Looking at the cover art from our last show. And so take it away, Captain Nick. Please, take it away.
660 this was. So we had some great suggestions. Big flaming mess, no beard too short, happy beard day, jackass, penguin, chopper, and guinea pigs in oxygen masks, some shaved. So that was a mishmash of various stories. So we ended up with a jackass penguin flying a helicopter with some guinea pigs in masks.
As you do.
And the title I thought was great because the penguins we were talking about were the South African penguin, which is also called the jackass penguin. And then there were some guinea pigs who were wearing oxygen masks, so we had actual guinea pigs there. So there you go, jackass in guinea pig rescue. Now, if you wanted the number of the show, you had to look on the guinea pig masks. Turned on their sides, 2 6s and a 0 that was just under the top lip of the final guinea pig. So that was 660. And then of course, the jackass who's doing the flying, as most helicopter pilots are. We like to call them jackasses. His wings are just underneath his straps there. There you go.
Yeah, love it.
Glad we got that out of the way. Well done.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
I would agree.
Yeah, we definitely need a penguin as because it's flightless.
I was going to say, I don't think penguins can fly, so that's very appropriate.
Yeah, as an APG penguin, and the jackass penguin just seats us down to the ground, I think. So you're right, we need to adopt that.
Yep. Yes. Okay. All right. Since that prestigious member of our Airline Pilot Guy show community is with us in the live audience, Nigel, we're gonna read out his feedback. He says the subject is All Nippon Airways pilot and New York ATC involved in argument. Hi, Captain Jeff and crew. Lovely Liz. That should work. Seemed a little, she just gave little kissy noises. Seemed a little short of feedback a couple of shows ago, so I send you this. Maybe it's been covered already. JFK seems to get this a lot. I wonder what the lowest common denominator is. Best wishes, Hong Kong Nigel. The most prestigious of them all. Yes, and apparently I'm the one that gave him that title. So he gave us a link to this article. Now, we don't have the actual audio. It probably is out there somewhere, but we do have the transcript. So this is from... we should do that. That's a good idea. We'll do some role-playing. So Captain... I have a feeling I know which one Captain Nick wants to do. She wants to be the air traffic controller.
I don't have the accent for it, I'm afraid.
But you have the attitude for it, which I think is an overriding thing. Well, okay, I can do No, I don't really have a New York accent either. RJ, can you do a really good New York accent?
New York accent? No.
Okay.
I have this accent. This is it.
Okay. I'll just play it straight then. Okay. Yeah. So this is... Yeah, well, we missed the rehearsal. Maybe next time. Maybe if we thought about it a little bit more ahead of time, we could have, done some rehearsing. This is from aviatina2z.com. Let's see. All Nippon Airways pilot and New York ATC involved in argument. The interaction escalated when the controller criticized the pilot's comprehension, despite the ambiguity of his own instructions. A heated argument between All Nippon Airways, ANA, pilot and a New York air traffic controller this happened on March 2nd, 2025, highlights ongoing issues with non-standard communication at one of the world's busiest airports. The incident involving a Boeing 777 stemmed from unclear taxi instructions and non-standard ATC phraseology. What a surprise. On March 2nd, an ANA flight pilot was preparing for departure, requested taxi clearance. The controller responded with, "You're on request," a phrase not recognized in standard International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, terminology. Confused, the ANA pilot repeated the request, thinking that the controller was asking him to say it again, I guess. Prompting the controller to insist on his phrasing rather than clarifying with standard language like stand by for taxi. The interaction escalated when the controller criticized the pilot's comprehension, despite the ambiguity of his own instructions. ICAO mandates clear, standardized phrasing to prevent such misunderstandings, especially at busy international hubs like JFK, where pilots may have varying English proficiency. Okay. We should have probably just skipped right to the transcript here, but okay, here we go.
Do you want me to do this then? I'll give it a go.
Okay, go ahead.
You're on request. As soon as this aircraft lands, I'll get you moving.
All Nippon Airways 159 Heavy. Sorry, say again?
You're on request.
Oh, we request runway 31 left, All Nippon 159 Heavy.
You're on request.
All Nippon 159 Heavy, request taxi via Alpha 1, left turn, Alpha.
All Nippon 159 Heavy. I don't know if you're not familiar. It seems like you're not. When somebody says you're on request, that means they have your request. That's it. Just wait.
So you mean we can taxi by our own? All Nippon 159 Heavy?
All Nippon 159 Heavy. Absolutely not. You're on request. Just means you wait. You don't say anything. You just wait for the controller, which is me, okay? Just wait.
Okay, holding position. All Nippon 159 Heavy.
Yes, I have your request. That's what that means.
Then why didn't you just say that to begin with? I added the last.
Good point. I'll go and take my break now.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful.
Well done.
Not bad on short notice, right? So this dialogue reveals a communication breakdown driven by the controller's reliance on non-standard terminology and an unwillingness to adapt when the pilot struggles to understand. I mean, this is all air traffic control's fault. Sorry, but we're going to have to give you the buzzer on that one. It should have been, and I think it was, very apparent that the words he was using, the phraseology he was using, was not being understood.
Right.
And it's kind of like when you talk to somebody like that has English is not their first language, you're thinking, and then, if you just start yelling it louder and louder, somehow that's going to make it so that they can understand it. And that, as we know, doesn't really work at all, ever. But anyway, so it goes on to talk about in this article the ICAO standardizing phraseology to ensure clear communication. And they just basically just emphasize exactly what we are talking about here. You're on request. I've heard that phraseology used at Kennedy and a lot of airports around the system. English-speaking pilots pretty much pick up on what the intent of that phrase is. But as I said, if English is not your primary language and you just know aviation terms, and if this particular term that you're using is not on that list of aviation terminology and phraseology, you're not going to understand what it is because when you hear the word request, you're thinking he's asking you to give him
that's
something.
Right. Yep.
So,
yeah, very confusing.
Yeah. All right.
Liz just said something and disappeared.
Yeah, you're coming on what? We don't hear you.
Here I am. I'm on StreamYard. Okay. So I was listening to air traffic control at Toronto this week, and the approach controller said, SkyWest, slow to 170 knots at the final approach fix. You're number one. And the SkyWest guy came back and said, oh, I guess my mother was right. And the approach controller didn't quite get the humor there for a minute. Then he came back on and he said, how long have you been waiting to use that phrase? And the SkyWest guy said, I always have it locked and loaded.
That's amazing. If I was the controller, I would have come back with, obviously you think a lot about of yourself.
It was very fun. It was funny. I thought it was very funny. It's non-standard, but funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Time to wrap it up, boys, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
All right.
Nice short show for y'all. You're welcome. That keeps us we have some feedback still locked and loaded for
That's right.
the next episode, which makes Liz so happy. And we are going to now wrap it up by pointing you over to the Airline Pilot Guy website, airlinepilotguy.com. Oh, by the way, it's safe and secure. It's HTTPS. Now you won't get that nagging message anymore when you go to our site. So please do check that out. You'll find information about the crew and the community and so much more. So it's there for your perusing. And also, we are on social media. Captain Nick, you do this so well, so go for it.
I'll do my best. We don't haunt social media, so if you do write a comment or give some feedback via social media, there's a very good chance we're not actually going to really spot it. So please email if you have feedback. That's the way to get Liz online, and you'll be you'll be listened to. However, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Airline Pilot Guy. That's all one word. On X, we're at APG Crew. On the Instas, where the artwork goes, although I've just discovered that actually I've only been posting it on my personal account, not on the APG Crew account. So I'm going to fix that now. Instagram.com/APG Crew. And of course, you can find the video that we're making this very second on youtube.com/Airline Pilot Guy. And good luck.
Awesome. And, here are the water in the background. Got the microphone. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Hello. Can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Happy birthday, by the way. Tell us about Slack. Come on.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. All right. We always appreciate all the hard work that Hillel does for us. And as we said, he just celebrated a birthday in recent days. So again, happy birthday from the APG crew.
Happy birthday.
And let's see. RJ, again, thanks for joining us. Pardon me?
Is he 60 now?
Don't know.
60?
No,
I don't think he's that old.
Don't think he is.
21.
Yeah,
20. Okay.
Yeah.
All that time in the shower has aged him a bit, though.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, he is a bit white and wrinkly. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. And let's see. We'd also like to give a round of applause and thank you to our producer, Liz.
Yeah, well done, Liz. Thanks.
Thank you very much for
My
all
pleasure.
You do. And we'd like to thank our live audience, our live chatters, most of whom hang out with us each and every week. We really appreciate that. And we love you. And thanks to all of you for listening to our show and putting up with us as you do each and every week. And with that, we're going to end this all by saying, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
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 Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's get to these possible titles. Now.
All right, I didn't write a thing down this week. So.
All right, so this one.
Mayday is always.
Yeah, Mayday. And actually, iHall Boxes thought that was appropriate because of, what the date and everything, Mayday.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so we have planes with crowns. Remember we were talking about planes that should have crowns.
Yes.
Planes, and then of course we have plane overboard. So maybe you have a plane with a crown going overboard. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, okay. The Navy plane, yes.
We have fog cutter, and we use that in a few places, like Jeff's hair and the drink and all of that kind of stuff. So,
Yep.
And then funny fingers. Remember we were talking about the artwork there, funny fingers.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna appear anyway.
That's all I got. That's all I got. Got that workable at all?
Yeah. Plenty there. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
What was after fog cutter? Oh, fingers. Funny fingers.
Funny fingers. Mayday. Planes with crowns.
Yep.
Playing overboard. Funny fog cutter.
Funny fog cutter.
Funny fog cutter.
Funny fog cutter. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Sorry for the time change. We did change the time. It was originally going to be a little later, but we went earlier so Captain Nick could get off to bed. So.
Oh, yeah. It's great, isn't it? Zeta's just arrived.
Oh, great.
It's a good time for me to go to bed, yes?
Perfect.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
All the best.